but this is kind of the focus for finish. We talked about it last year about walking in the door here and said, hey, we lost a lot of games in the fourth quarter, so we put an emphasis on finish, and then guess what? Again, this past year we lost a lot of games in the fourth quarter. And just because you say you're going to emphasize, it's like turnovers. You do these circuits, you do all these things, and they don't just happen. You got to make them happen. So we got to really push. We got to push here to finish. We got to push these guys to find out who the competitive leaders are on this team. I didn't just say leaders, I didn't just say the competitors, but the competitive leaders. And when your best players are your most competitive leaders, you got a chance. You got a hell of a lot better chance to finish. And I think that's what we're going to have to do. We know there's going to be a bunch of dog fights. It's a really, really good league, and it's only getting better. And the teams that can finish, the teams that can win in the fourth quarter, the teams are going to be at the top when it's all said and done.
You talked about last week about the quarterbacks looking for consistency, looking for a little bit. Have you seen that a little bit the last two practices, especially from Tyler?
Yeah, I have. I mean, the catastrophic things is what you're trying to avoid, right? And that's throwing those balls or putting the ball on the ground, and the management of the things day to day becomes the most difficult because in spring you're adding and adding and adding. But they've handled it, and Tyler obviously is this is all new. And for him to be where he's at right now, I think we're in a really good place. He's in a really good place. The great thing about it is Braden's not making it easy on him, because he does understand, he does know the offense extremely well. He's playing really consistent, and he's making some plays. And so the best thing for us is to have a legitimate competitive battle. Some would say it's better if you can name a starter at whatever position, in particular the quarterback, but I think it's much better if you can continue to have a competitive battle, because you're going to find out what you got. Because probably, like last year, probably going to need them both.
There's been a lot of pressure off the edge defensively, which is what you've been looking for, not only today but throughout the spring. How do you read that as a coach? That's a good thing for the defense. What does that mean for the offensive line?
No, I think that where we are, at least if you want to say the corners, even offensively, like with the ones, it is a battle, and we are really good on the edges. And I think we've gotten a lot better, and I think we've gotten better because of the competitive nature and some of the people that we've added, and even some of the guys that have gotten a lot better. Darrell Peterson's a guy that I think with the competitiveness of what we've got in that room, he's gotten a lot better. And so for us, defensive, we know that if you have to pressure, you have to blitz, you have to bring 5 or 6 to make it uncomfortable for the quarterback. In the long run, you're going to give up big plays, and you're going to struggle at some point in time. If you can manage and you can find a way to get 4-man pressure, you can have that guy that at some point in time is going to be able to make a play. Obviously, things become a little bit different defensively, and I really believe we're in a good place. I believe we've got some of that. I think we've got some at all levels. To be able to create pressure and not have to, be blitz happy and a lot of those things. So I think we're in a better spot. I think it's challenging. I think it's made it really difficult on the offensive line just because the ability to roll some of those guys in there, which I think is a really good thing in the long run for all of us.
It looks like Colin Coverly, you're looking to see what he can do at different positions. He's been a tackle, guard, center. What has he shown you? Just first of all, trying to handle all that on his
he played tackle in high school, so he has the natural feel that I don't know that that's his natural position. I think, but by nature of where we are in the middle of spring practice, I think when we went into spring, I thought the biggest issue we were going to have was the depth of the offensive line. We lost a lot of guys, in particular those guys that would give you some depth of what you're doing. And when you lose those guys, it makes it really difficult to practice. It makes it really difficult, as you've seen, when the third quarterback goes in there, it's really difficult on him. And so it's hard to get good work. So Colin's been a guy that we've moved around a lot of different spots. He's played center, he's played some guard, he's now back out at tackle a little bit. I think what the biggest thing is it shows his versatility, but not only athletically and physically, but even mentally. I think to me that's, if you ask about one thing about an offensive lineman, as long as they've got the right thing, between the ears and can handle some of that, their future's really bright.
Going back to Tyler, just do you feel him getting more particularly discomfortable with what he's doing? It's really like even in the run game.
I do. I think the thing that can help Tyler as well is when you do get into some more live situations. He is a big guy. He's a guy that can run the football too. I think that I tease him a little bit. I think his first year at Miami, I seen him watch that film. He runs pretty well. I think year 2 and 3, I tease him about getting a little bit big, and I'm not sure he thought he was standing back there and pass happy in some of those situations. But I think he's in a really good spot. I think he can create some things. At 230 some pounds, can be a physical guy that you have to be able to have balance with and understand that he can do some things with his feet as well, and I think that can give him a different edge to some things. But he is getting much more comfortable. I think you can see that he understands what's going all around him a lot better each and every day.
Regarding the quarterbacks, we've seen situations where they alternate after one play. What are you trying to see, in those situations, specifically, from them or from the offensive side?
I don't know that we ought rotate after one play. I think there's some situations maybe today where, you want to get Mabry an opportunity in there with some twos, with a little bit better, things around him and because it's tough sometimes, with that third group, and you got some offensive linemen that are playing in twos and threes and they get wore out, and then you roll in some new guys defensively. It's hard to get your feet set and do some things comfort level wise. So that would be the only thing, that maybe there's 3 reps and then you bring them out of rack, you bring in 3 just so that you can balance out and hopefully get Mabry and some of those guys an opportunity to do it a little bit more with the second group.
Going back to the edges, what did you see today out of your 2 true freshmen outside backers, Thomas and Danello?
Both are starting to pick it up, and their opportunities are coming more and more now here towards the end of spring. Thomas, I think, had 30 snaps on Saturday in the live action. And Nello didn't have quite as many, but now all of a sudden, you start to get to where you feel like you've got 1As and 1Bs, and those 4 guys that are kind of on the edge, for sure the 3s. It's kind of that time I'm like, look, we need to play those guys only with the 1s, which means you got to stick some of those freshmen in there, and they got to understand what they're doing, right? You go in with the 2s, you don't have a limited package. When you go in with the 3s, there's a very limited package. You can just kind of play free. So those guys are getting a lot more opportunities, and I think they both got a little different skill set that I think are going to continue to grow and enhance. They're going to be really good for us in the future.
Yesterday, Henry Waller said one of the things he was looking to improve on this year was splash plays and kind of making a little bit more of an impact on the ball. As a coaching staff, how do you guys kind of help him maybe make some more of those plays?
He helps himself, but I think when we get to it's the season, we get to game planning, we'll be able to use Hunter in some different ways. In the spring, it's hard. A lot of times he's stuck out there on an island, or he's stuck out there in the post, and you don't get to see his playmaking ability. But that's just because we're installing and getting all things around him. But as you get to the season, as you get into fall camp, you'll have a chance to start putting him in packages, and you start putting him into positions where he's a little closer to the football, give him some freedom, allow him to kind of let his instincts play.
How difficult as a coach is it to see Aaron get hurt again, whatever it may be? Do you expect him back this spring? Or
I don't know that he'll make it back this spring. He probably could, but it probably wouldn't be the smartest thing. But it's good to see that it's not something that has been lingering. It's not one of those things that's been from the foot up. This is just Aaron being Aaron, wanting more counters and wanting to be more physical, and not realizing that 320 pounds at some point in time is going to wear out 250 pounds or 245 pounds. But I think it's all been really positive. Yes, it stinks that he's out here but you can tell he's in a completely different mindset. This is not anything that kind of takes him back to where he was for the last couple of years.
Luke, we're going to talk to Hunter in a minute, and you know how much he cares and how much he wants this, but how has he grown as a leader in your opinion, and what is he doing this year?
I think his ability to understand that leadership isn't always easy. That you got to do some things with leadership that aren't always popular, and you got to be honest. And at times that means people aren't going to like you. And I think that as long as you can back it up, and as long as you're the guy that people look to, I think that that's what we need. And I've kind of asked him and kind of pushed him to be one of those guys, because he's got everything that we're looking for, to build a program, to build a culture, to build a locker room around. And you just got to understand that it's not always easy. And there's going to be things and times that even some of your best friends and things are going to be accountability things that you got to be able to handle and do. And if we can continue to create that with guys like him, that'll become more of the culture of what it is that we need. Because this roller coaster world that we're in, ultimately when you go to that locker room, it's still got to be the same things.
So with injuries at the tackle or inside linebacker out playing a team, you see someone like Tyler Jancy step up, receive the last second team reps. Just what does he bring, and just how has he helped himself this spring?
Tyler's a guy that never stops. So obviously, as a freshman, as a redshirt last year, there's a lot. The game's still really fast for him. But the thing about Tyler is each and every day he comes out, he's a little bit better. He's a little better. There's not many I could truly say that every single day when he comes out, he's going to make himself better. He's not going to make the same mistake. He's going to make another mistake. just the nature of who he is and his aggressive nature. But he gets better each and every day. And so whether he's there just yet, or whether he's going to be there for this fall, in the long run, Tyler James is going to be really, really good. And he is, again, one of those mentality types of guys that you can't have enough of.
Bryson Green's a guy who we consistently see, make some of those contested catches. Is there maybe an added effort this year to give him more of those opportunities and try and maybe either push the ball downfield or find a way to get?
Well, we know we want to be able to do those things. We want to be able to, build the confidence, but we want to be able to push the ball down the field. And I think that the balance between being better running the football, being physical up front, and some of those things give you a little bit better opportunity, meaning that you're going to get more one-on-ones out there the better you are up front and ability to run the football. But he has proven that he has that 50-50 ability to make it 60-40 and maybe even 70-30. And as he continues to do that, he'll get more and more opportunities.
Spoke highly of Nizier earlier this spring. What have you seen from him since then, and also the other guys like Mack and Lofi that are kind of working their way back into roles?
Well, I would say Nizier's probably the most improved guy, and I don't mean that he was bad. It just meant like his ability to be here, to train the whole winter. He's not saying changed his body, but he's put on weight. He's gotten stronger. He's gotten faster. He was in a tough situation as he walked in the door last year, being hurt, and even when he walked in, never trained with us. Where he was maybe in the middle of the season or end of the season to where he is now goes really well for us. He's a competitor. He's a really smart, sharp guy, and he's making that room better. As you bring in R.J. Delancey and you've got Max Lofi and those guys, they're seeing a guy that maybe had some struggles last year, had to fight through those adverse things, and all of a sudden he's doing an unbelievable job, and he's a guy that you're going to have out there in many different ways. So, good.
Yeah.
All right.